Us now is Kansas Senator Roger Marshall. Roger, good to see you. You are a man who's been calling this out from the very beginning, that, you know what, it probably could have come from the Wuhan lab in China. Now other government entities are joining you in this call, just, what, about 3 years late. What do you think about this new report from the Department of Energy?
Well, certainly this gives us momentum to proceed with some type of a 9/11 investigation of the origins of COVID. I think what's significant here is the Department of Energy has changed their mind. They've seen some type of new evidence, whereas before they thought it came from nature. Now they think that it probably came from a laboratory. It's interesting that they're joining the FBI. And probably the FBI has the most insight into what's going on because they have a bigger domestic footprint. They're able to interview and investigate this process, interview the scientists involved as well. So this is giving us momentum to have some type of a bipartisan investigation into the true origins of COVID. And what it's going to show is that there's a significant amount of evidence that says that this virus was made in Wuhan, China, with American tax dollars funded by Dr. Fauci. And what's sad is America is continuing to fund viral gain-of-function research in the United States as well as China.
Senator, you sent a letter to FBI Director Christopher Wray in August of last year asking the FBI to share records of its investigation and asking if the Bureau had briefed President Biden about this. You didn't get a response from Christopher Wray, did you? You got a response from FBI Assistant Director and said, check with Avril Haines' office for information. Can you give us an update on that? Has it changed at all?
So no, we've still not received that information. I think that America deserves to know why the FBI thinks that this virus came from a lab in Wuhan, China. I think America deserves to know, did the FBI share that feeling, the results of their investigation with the president, or did the White House, the folks there at the White House decide to share with the president just the evidence that they wanted to talk about? So we're very frustrated. Same way with this Department of Energy report as well. We'll be anxiously waiting to see what was the new report that they decided to change their mind as well.
So what do you think about a new strategy? And I don't know what that would be, Senator, but you and your colleagues who were called the disseminators of misinformation, you were called racists, that your theory of the lab leak was debunked and it was toxic white masculinity. It was a fringe idea. I mean, all those things were said about those who questioned whether this was a natural occurrence or whether it was coming from a lab leak. And some of you were canceled. How do we move forward and try to get truth in media, in tech, and also from an administration?
Well, I appreciate you all putting a spotlight on the situation. I think that's where the answer to your question starts, is just exposing the truth and show the depth of the federal government's involvement working with social media to try to censor so many of us. In January of 2020, I was the first person to walk on the House floor and talk about this, that I thought that this virus was the three-alarm fire coming out of China. And basically since that day I was censored. We were censored regarding discussions on whether masks were beneficial, what were the benefits and risks of vaccines, natural immunity, all those issues that we were censored for, and we're told that we weren't allowed to even debate this. A physician myself, I know that patients deserve to know the risks, the benefits, the pros and cons of any treatment, and they were denied that opportunity. We were told to get in line and do what the federal government tells us because they know what's best. And we certainly understand that with most public health care policies, what may work in urban America may not work in rural America, and the timing of those actions won't be the same either. So we certainly could not have handled this any worse. I think it was even very predictable, the consequences of those lockdowns and the impact on the mental health of this country and the education of our children.
Senator Marshall, great of you to be here. Before we go, I just want to reiterate, though, that there's still 4 agencies, including and the National Intelligence Council, that say this virus was from natural transmission. And there are 2, the CIA and another agency, that say that they're undecided.
So we should have that discussion. Let's have that debate. Let's have an open hearing. Let America hear why those different agencies are thinking one way or the other. I think there's a body of evidence that's going to say that this came from a lab in Wuhan, China.
Senator Marshall, Dr. Marshall, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you being on The Bottom Line. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.